Okay, Shafiq here. Chapter 1, if you like. My story. I mean, who am I to talk about mental health? Who am I to talk about the lows that I reached? Well, I guess I have a 10-year experience in my life that led ultimately to the book, There's No Shame, and my coaching, my public speaking, and seminar work and all that sort of stuff that I do day to day. I am, as I've said before, the survivor of two suicide attempts in 2006, end of 2006, and in January, March, April 2016. So there was a 10-year gap for me. And my story is one that I guess is pretty relatable to a lot of people. It could be relatable to somebody now who's struggling with low mood, low self-esteem, just caught up in life. It could be relatable to partners living with somebody, or they can see in their partners, most importantly. 2006, I was a new dad. I was working crazy hours. My wife had decided, or we had jointly decided, that I go out and earn the good income, and my wife stay at home and bring up the children, or my first child. And I would throw myself into work, and that meant new promotions, that meant longer hours, but it also meant working in an environment that I always knew was quite dictatorial, that I knew was very aggressive. And in hindsight, it didn't really sit with the person that I was, but it offered opportunities to provide an income, a good income for my wife and new child. So I threw myself into it. But we all know, don't we, as new dads, sleep deprivation, that kind of guilt of not being around for your child, not that guilt of not being around to help your wife out, just feeling pretty useless because you're working crazy hours and there's no work-life balance really, and it got too much for me. It really got too much. And I did recognise it myself. Went to the GPs. The GPs would say, "Oh, Shafiq, you need to take your foot off the gas." Gave me some antidepressants. They kind of worked, but didn't really work. They kind of made me last a little bit longer in the workplace, shall we say. And then it all got too much for me one Friday night. And I, in a nutshell, attempted to take my life. And it failed. Now, as I said before in earlier blogs, I can't say the method in which I did it, but I certainly did it. I certainly attempted it. And it didn't work out for a reason. Now, clearly I understand now, from what I do day to day and how I help people day to day, that the reason why both my attempts didn't work is to do what I do now. So I thank the universe, I thank the Lord, I thank everybody who was looking after me on those particular days. But over those 10 years in between, who did I talk to? Who did I see? Who did I talk about my fears? Who did I go to? Work was pretty much useless, shall we say. I went back to work after 4 weeks, just with a prescription and a supposedly a reduced workload. Well, we all know that sometimes those reduced workloads aren't really reduced workloads. And I still had my child, I still had my wife at home, I still was a bit pig-headed, a bit of a Neanderthal man, shall we say. I'll go out and earn all the rest of it. And you just can't keep that up. You can't keep up those hours, and then working extra days, and then working weekends, and it weighs heavy on you. But over those 10 years, most importantly, I was terrified of the taboos and the stigmas. I was terrified of reaching out. Were there any self-help groups? Who could I talk to? I mean, YouTube pretty much was in its infancy. There wasn't any bloggers out there. It was just me and my GP and my medication, which I can say was sertraline, and it worked for me. It doesn't work for a lot of people, but it did actually work for me. And then it reared its head up again in a really, really big way in 2006, 2015. Big promotion, big promotion. It was meant to be good. It was meant to give me that work-life balance. We'd had our second child. My children at this age were, just to throw it out there, my children at this age were about 9 and 5, and 9 and 4, sorry to say. And yeah, I could feel it coming on again. I could feel the fact that I hadn't dealt with it. But I had this new promotion. People had seen something in me professionally that really mattered to me. So I've got an instant stick burning. So that's what you see coming across. And again, it was a Friday night. By this time I was working 18-hour days, out the door at 4:30 in the morning, back at 10 o'clock at night. Very, very aggressive culture that I was working in, very dictatorial, very figure-driven, orientated, product promotion, productivity, time and motion studies, all this sort of stuff. And again, it was a Friday night, and I had enough. But most importantly, that particular Friday, because we're relating to my story, I fell apart. And again, it's all in the book, because I can't really talk about it on camera. But the whole day was it was scary. I felt out of control. My heart rate was pounding. Blood pressure was probably through the roof. I was sweaty. I was clammy. I was completely confused, completely disorientated. Nothing made any sense. I was trying to log on to the computers, that my passwords were revoked. It was like this kaleidoscope of colours in front of me, all this sort of stuff. Ended up going to coffee shops, had 3 espressos to get some clarity. I put it down to being tired. It made no sense, made no difference at all to me. And now looking back, even whilst I attempted to do what I did, I realised I'd lost control. I realised that I was at my absolute lowest ebb. I realised that, to me at the time, working those crazy hours, not seeing my 2 children, not seeing my wife, and not seeing my family, not seeing my extended family, so on and so forth, I realised that I was failing. And that's when I did what I tried to do. And yeah, it was an instantaneous decision. And what I did, and again it failed. It failed on a Friday night. The intention was there, the commitment was there, seeing it through was there, but the path, the route, if you like, that I chose failed. So that's my story with regards to how I can talk about this, and how I understand how over the remaining 18 months it took me from that lowest point to getting myself better, to become an accredited coach, to work within the NHS, doing volunteer work, to become a key support worker for people, to coach, to blog, to public speak, to write my book, and so on and so forth. Because my life's journey got me to this point. And I realised, most importantly, that over those 10 years, I knew about this flippant 1 in 4 figure in the UK, but I just felt I was alone. And I guess now there is a degree of public visibility, a degree of understanding, shall we say, that allows us to know that mental health is in society. But there's good, blow that away, but there is good and bad mental health, is there not? Good mental health is prevalent. England today, what's the date today? I think it's about the 18th of October, have just reached the World Cup semi-final in rugby. Hurrah! Poor mental health as if you're Ireland. They just got trounced by New Zealand. That's bad mental health. We're in a low mood, aren't we? So it's not just all about the poor mental health. I understand how good and bad mental health are like the yin and yang. Poor mental health enables us to appreciate our good mental health, and our good mental health enables us to cope with those bad mental health days. And that's my story regarding to how I've come to put out these blogs, and how I've come, most importantly, to want to put this out on social media, and in a media, or a medium, shall we say, that is accessible to all, because sometimes we don't know which way to turn. And all I ask as I continue with my blogs and my understanding and my relatability to everybody out there is that you like, you share, you comment, you subscribe to the channel, because that gives me that algorithm, that gives me that ability for people to type it in and then I come up, and then I'm relatable, because I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know what to turn to. And most importantly, these blogs will never be more than 10 minutes long. It's something that you can watch in your lunch hour, something that you can watch before you go to bed. But it's inspirational, it's upbeat, it's informative, and most informally, it is relatable to everybody in everyday life, that you will beat mental health with the support and the right thinking and the right mindset and the right people around you. So have a great day. Thanks for your love and support. Catch up with you soon in my next vlog. Cheers. Bye.